Everybody was loving KELiS until she bought land. How dare you come up in here and purchase 150 acres? People have been sending me all of these reels and YouTube videos about KELiS in Kenya, other Americans, and they think it's great. Purchasing land in Kenya, whether you are a foreigner or not, is not for the faint-hearted. Baby, there is just so much to consider. The more proximate you are to whiteness in this country, the more you find that people are like, oh yeah, I want to partner with you. I want to date you. I want to have access to you. Now, I got some questions, okay? And I legit want answers to those questions. What do y'all want KELiS to do with her money? Like, for real, what do y'all want KELiS to do with her money? Welcome to BLAXIT to Africa. I'm Tadre Delora Monye, a California native living my best life in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for coming along for the ride. I hope that you are informed, entertained, and inspired to BLAXIT to Africa. Child, is KELiS a colonizer, or is she just in Kenya living her best life? I really felt the need to address this because it kept coming on my plate. I been knew that KELiS was in Kenya, and she's all up and down my algorithm. I love it. I love it for her. I love it for her family. I love it for the diaspora. I love it for Kenyans. But then Kenyans started coming up to me on the street at events and meetings, asking me, do I know KELiS? Can I introduce them to KELiS? What do I think about KELiS? What do I feel about KELiS? Can I go and talk to KELiS about her problematic language? I'm just like, what is going on? I need to figure out what is it about KELiS that is pissing people off. It's obvious for those that want to go into business partnership, that they want to get at her. They want to have access to her to further their business goals. That one is obvious. However, this one about KELiS purchasing land, how she's moving, that one not so obvious. I feel like there's what's being said and what's not being said. I feel like I should let you know that I'm going to speak in my authentic voice more than I usually do. And if I start cursing, we just gonna have to bleep that out. Okay, so let's talk about who KELiS is, because I was talking to my neighbor next door who's Kenyan. She works in the US, she comes back and forth, and she is middle-aged like myself. She didn't know who KELiS was. KELiS is like me. She's Gen X. I'm about 6 years older than her. She's New Yorker. She's from Harlem. She's an entertainer. She first came on my radar in 1999 when she came out with her single, I Hate You So Much Right Now. What's the, let me look at my notes, okay? What is the real name of the song? Caught Out There. Caught Out There came out in 1999. I was probably like a year out of law school, and it was just different. I was like, yo, who is this? Why is she so angry? Who does she hate? Her look was different. Her presentation, her attitude was different. Her sound was different. It was refreshing, and it was like scary at the same time. Since then, like, she's come out with so much more music, but KELiS has always been about a different sound, a different style, a different presentation. And then if you're of my generation and you love men, KELiS ended up marrying Nas. And so many women of my generation, Black women, was like, oh no, Nas was supposed to be our baby daddy. Nas is a rapper and a sex symbol. And so when they came together, some people was very upset. It should have been me. KELiS also has 3 children, 2 by her former husband who passed from cancer. And she also has a child by Nas. And she is here in Kenya from what I can see, living her best life. This is my American interpretation. She's here with her sister, one of her sisters, her mom, from what I can tell by an interview that she did on Earn Your Leisure, perhaps her aunt. Who else is here with her? Maybe a partner that's questionable. She's out here. And I love that she's here with her mom. I'm also here with my mom. So many of us that are Gen Xers that are coming to Kenya, we're bringing our parents, because you're not going to be over in Europe and in the Americas needing hospital care, needing someone to look after you. You're aging and you're by yourself. And we don't want to be over there. So come on, we finna make a way for you here. KELiS self-identifies as a Black American woman. I know that this racial construct that we have in the US is very confusing to non-Americans. She self-identifies as that. Her mother is Chinese Puerto Rican descent, so her mom has Chinese heritage, African heritage. KELiS self-identifies also with her Caribbean heritage through her mom. Her father, as far as I know, was an African American Pentecostal minister. Is that correct? Yes. Ooh. Now in the Black community, we call that sanctified. So according to the internets, he taught at Wesleyan University as well. She went to a private school and she didn't quite fit in with the girls around the way in Harlem. And she also didn't fit in with the girls that she went to school with. And here we have this KELiS, who I find to be just oddly refreshing and just different on the pop landscape. So this is who KELiS is for those who don't know. Now, everybody was loving KELiS until she bought land. When she bought the land, that's when Kenyans was like, oh, hell no. I shouldn't say all Kenyans. I'm sure some people don't even know who KELiS is and what she's doing here. But for those who do, folks was up in arms. So let's talk about that. KELiS has purchased 150 acres of land in Naivasha, Kenya, and she plans on purchasing 150 more. Naivasha, Kenya is about 2 hours outside of Nairobi. From what Kenyans have been telling me, like it is where the colonizers were and it's prime land, it's very fertile land, and it's triggered a lot of Kenyans. And for the record, I do not know KELiS. I've seen KELiS once at the nail salon and that's about it. I actually, inside scoop, I do fashion tours here. I know she loved fashion. So I literally went to the receptionist and I slipped the receptionist a little note, just my contact information, and just inviting KELiS to come on my fashion tour. It's a little weird, but I didn't want to disturb her during her service. So I was like, let me just give this to the receptionist and maybe the receptionist will give this to KELiS. I don't know if she did or did not. KELiS has never been on my fashion tour. So for those who are thinking that they can reach KELiS through me, you cannot, because I've never met the woman. So let's talk about this controversy from the Kenyan perspective. Foreign land ownership. How much land can you purchase as a foreigner? I watched the Lynn Ngugi show just so I could understand the Kenyan perspective. There's a lot to it. Purchasing land in Kenya, whether you are a foreigner or not, is not for the faint-hearted. Baby, there is just so much to consider. As a foreigner, you can purchase land here through a leasehold, not a freehold. A leasehold is basically like you buy the land and you have it for 99 years. You can ask for a renewal. That depends on government agencies, etc. But usually you can get a renewal of that 99-year leasehold. A freehold is not available to us. Now, I'm a little confused because I know that foreigners will tend to open a business or LLC and then they'll purchase land through that LLC. I don't know all the details. If you want to know about land ownership in Kenya as a foreigner, watch that Lynn Ngugi show. She had an expert on there that had written books about land ownership. It's not for the faint of heart. It's definitely not an undertaking that I would want to do on my own. I have heard horror stories from Kenyans. I have really heard horror stories from non-Kenyans, even when they have gone the correct route, hiring 3 lawyers, asking the chiefs who this land belongs to. It's something else. So last night I was at an event and the conversation came up. So what do you think about KELiS? How'd she get that land? I don't know. Nobody knows that except for KELiS and the lawyers that she's worked with. Now, watching this show, Lynn and Googie show on YouTube, apparently it takes a really long time to acquire this land. You have to go through certain governmental agencies. You have to get consent. And the fact that it seemed to have happened so quickly for KELiS, apparently 6 months, as she said on Earn Your Leisure, people are really questioning that. And then the fact that it's so close to a national park, it's right off of Lake Naivasha. I've been there a few times. It's a beautiful place. The fact that there's so much wildlife there has brought up a lot of questions. I'm getting to it. So when you have a leasehold as a foreigner, remember, as a foreigner, apparently you can only purchase land as a leasehold. You cannot use that leasehold land for agricultural purposes, but this is what KELiS is doing. She is using this land for farming, and she's supposed to be opening a resort, honey. Sign me up. So then that is another question. National park. There's a national park right behind her land. So yeah, people are just like, what is this? Did she do it? I want to go in order because I'm a linear thinker, but I can't talk about the land issue without speaking about land historically in Kenya. Highly controversial. Woo, the way that Kenyans have been impacted by colonization, much more than many other African nations. Well, what I can tell you is that folks is still in court today trying to get back their ancestral land. It is a very triggering conversation to have. When we think about colonization, we tend to think about the 1800s. Like, that's where my mind goes. But then when you start having genuine conversations with Kenyans, you realize this shit is still ongoing. The trauma is still there. This brother was telling me, he was like, listen, when you hear me talk about our land, our ancestral land, he was like, that really is not our ancestral land. That's just where we landed. Our land was confiscated by colonizers. And once colonization was over, my family went into overdrive, acquiring more land. This land that I talk about that we have, and by the way, Kenyans with access and resources will have land all over the country, okay? Even Kenyans without much resources will have just a little plot. My housekeeper has a plot where her family landed. Colonization is over and folks want their land back. But many people, thousands of families did not get their land back. Now here you have KELiS. She's not Kenyan. She didn't just purchase an apartment or a condo or a little something here. This woman got 150 acres of land and folks is mad triggered. Another controversial issue, the environmental impact. So folks is really up in arms about this fencing. Generally, when people purchase land here, they spend lots and lots of money on fencing. I don't understand why folks are so mad with KELiS about the fencing. Is it because of the proximity to the national park? I'm gonna say this right now. I was just in Naivasha last month, okay? I just needed a little city break. I stayed there for like four days, 4 nights. And I went to this place called the Sanctuary. It was fenced. It was owned by white folks. I'm not even sure if they foreign whites, if they Kenyan whites, I don't know. But I can tell you this, it was fenced and I was walking amongst wild animals. Okay, the guy told me there were hyenas. I said, oh, where? There were water bucks, there were antelopes, there were kudus. There were all types of wild animals that I was walking amongst. There was a restaurant there. You can stay there on the property if you want some lodging. There's lots of people who own large swaths of private land in Naivasha and they're foreigners. Why are people so mad at KELiS? Is it because she's Black? Is it because she's a woman? Is it because she's telling her business? I'm going to get to this cultural notion and expectation of discretion. Not to mention, when you go to Naivasha, it's rose farms, flower farms, all up and down. And guess who owns them? not indigenous Kenyans. I'm trying to understand the spoken and unspoken behind this wrath regarding KELiS. Then you got the wildlife piece. So folks is like, oh, she has fenced off this land. Elephants come through here. Giraffes come through here. Wildlife is all over Kenya. I'm here in the city where it's busy, where it's cars, where sometimes it can be loud, protesting, tear gas, gunshots. I get my hair done in Kibra, in a bustling commercial district in Kibra. Monkeys on the telephone lines, monkeys in my compound. It's wildlife everywhere. So I saw in the interview that KELiS did with Earn Your Leisure, she's like, yeah, the elephants cannot be traipsing through my farm. So we've made another area for them to walk through. This is an ongoing conversation with farmers and wildlife. According to her, she has made accommodations for the wildlife that would normally be walking through what is now her farm. Now, this is the thing that was brought up to me at a design conference recently here in Nairobi. KELiS's language. Folks have problems with her language. I don't know this to be true, but we're just gonna go with it, okay? So a creative Kenyan, she came up to me and she was like, how do you feel about KELiS? I'm like, okay, this is a loaded question. I'm gonna listen to you because I want to know how you feel about KELiS. Well, she's using the words like pioneer. Okay. Then one of my girlfriends looked at me and she was like, yeah, Kenyans are not happy with KELiS. I'm just like, okay, pioneer. Why is that problematic? Colonization. So pioneer and colonization is one of the same. So apparently KELiS is going around telling people like, I'm a pioneer. As far as African Americans, she might be, though I know we've been coming here for a long time, before the 60s. I don't think we've been doing it at her scale. We're going to see what she does. The other word that people are upset with her about is that apparently they feel like she's been talking about Kenya as if it's a continent and not a country. Okay, so y'all want me to gain access to KELiS so I could talk to KELiS about her language. This is the thing. Number one, expat bubble. You have to be very deliberate in getting outside of your expat bubble. And even when you do, folks is still going to handle you with gloves, so to speak. Sometimes they just not gonna tell you the real. Now, you add on top of that, this celebrity status, oh my God. Everybody's gonna tell you yes. Who's gonna tell you no? Sometimes I have conversations with women, non-Black women, who are married to African men, and the things that come out their mouths. And I think to myself, your husband don't check you? He just let you. These are women who are European. These are women who are Black American, Black European. These are women who, Indian Kenyan. So if a spouse is not checking their wife, their husband on appropriate language, why would somebody who's looking to get money from KELiS check her on her language? I really don't know. Like, all I can say is she's going to have to continue to learn, continue to read, continue to explore, and hopefully she'll get some people in her circle that'll be some real ones. Displacement. This goes back to the land. Oof. Anecdote coming. Basically, myself and a guest, we were trying to get to the Kenyan geothermal spa in Naivasha, where KELiS has bought her land, and it was closed for refurbishing or cleaning. So we ended up going to the national park that's right there. The Kenyan geothermal spa is right inside the national park. The Kenyan geothermal spa is where you go if you want to explore hot springs, right? I posted on my Instagram. Apparently, I was underdressed for the occasion and overexposed. It was like a whole thing. I'm gonna do an episode on it. But basically, the Kenyan geothermal spa is inside the national park. KELiS's property is very near this geothermal spa, right? It was closed for cleaning. So we were like, okay, we done drove 2 hours out. What are we going to do out here? So we ended up going hiking. The brother that took us on the hike, he was very sad because we were now hiking on land that used to be his ancestral land. Government took that land And they thought that maybe they would make some coin by doing these tours as rangers. And there's no way to compensate people for that. And so here they are giving foreigners guided tours on land that used to be theirs. And apparently the guides aren't making much. I felt for him. There's nothing that I could do about that situation. And so that's part of the vitriol that's being directed towards KELiS. You done bought this land and you have displaced people. Is that her fault? Who sold her the land? And who displaced those people? I am nowhere at the level of KELiS in terms of land and acquisition, but I recall working with USAID and the Peace Corps in Okongo, Namibia. Them people in that community did not want me there. I was placed there. First of all, they had never met a Black American before, and they loved having white Americans in their village. Now I done replaced them, and they are looking at me like, who, you? You that look like us? You're here to help us, to save us? What happened to the white people? And you bald, you ain't got no hair, and you childless, so you really not a woman. In their culture, and at that time, you're not a full woman if you don't have children. Then, to add insult to injury, I was placed in a house that several people used to live in. I didn't know that. So I'm walking around the compound because I was placed on a school compound in teacher housing. Don't nobody want to fuck with me, basically. Like, African hospitality was just out the window, right? And for me, African hospitality is like top tier in the world. People ain't want to fuck with me. Ain't nobody check on me. Ain't nobody offer me no food. Ain't nobody welcome me. I walk around. People would just grimace at me because I had displaced people without knowing. So I ask again, whose fault is that? It wasn't my fault. Put me someplace else. So now let me give you the American perspective, because people have been sending me all of these reels and YouTube videos about KELiS in Kenya, other Americans, and they think it's great. They're like, oh, please give me your perspective on this. I think this is great. I'm thinking of relocating. I want to move. I want a new start. What's your experience like? Listen, the American perspective is like KELiS is really doing it. In a lot of ways, I think it's wonderful, because for a group of people that have been told that Africa is backwards and dusty, KELiS is showing you that it ain't. And the fact that she has this global celebrity status shows you that if she can do it, you can do it. But let me just tell you, KELiS is a different person. She is a different being, all right? She done had a farm in California. She is boho girly, but she can also be luxe. A lot of us can't do the boho thing. We can't do the farm thing, okay? I would say come here and check it out first before you jump all in. She's also doing this thing called We Farm, which I'm tapping in, okay? Because as a city girl who has killed houseplants, but has been told numerous times, Tadra, you need to buy a farm, you need to start farming. I know farming is not like what people want to make it seem like farming is easy. It is not. So, you know, $1,300, you can give it to KELiS, you get you a little plot of land, she gonna farm it for you. After 1 year, she's basically guaranteeing you a profit. I don't know what I want to farm, maybe some lavender because I like lavender. I don't know. Let's talk about the culture, because there's a cultural aspect to this. And this is not what people are talking about online. There's a discretion in wealth that KELiS thus far has not displayed, as far as we know. I'm not saying I know everything that this woman is doing, but the fact that she has purchased 150 acres of prime farmland, and we know about it, that's a no-no in the East African community. There's a lot of money here. People is moving and shaking. And I'm talking about Kenyans, other Africans, but they not broadcasting it. It's not to be broadcast. That's cultural. One of the things that used to shock me when I first moved to East Africa is how people would talk about juju and witchcraft, and how you just don't tell folks what you're doing, because somebody is going to get jealous and they're going to put some juju on you. I'm not making this shit up. And I'm not talking about village folks. I'm talking about very educated people, very accomplished people, people with resources. They move in silence. You ain't gonna never know how much land somebody got, how many cows they got. Yes, cows. Cows going for $800 a head. Okay? Don't sleep on cattle wealth. You will never know. I'm friends with people, part of a royal clan in Uganda. The way they downplay this shit. Like, the way my girlfriend gonna tell me she middle class, when baby, your family own a hotel contracted by the UN. Y'all own stuff all over the place. Middle class compared to who? I don't know how else to put it. There's a discretion that we don't exercise in the US to a degree. I remember being in Namibia again and asking my supervisor how many cows he had, because I didn't know no better. He just looked at me disapprovingly, like I had asked a very rude question. And he said, well, you don't want me asking you how much money you have in your bank accounts. Meanwhile, there you are, and you seeing hundreds of cattle just moving down the road, okay? And you know that so-and-so got a cattle ranch way out and it's a big business. So again, there's discretion that's not being exercised. And I think that's one of the things that's triggering people. Maybe they're not in touch with that aspect, but that's also a part of it. Now, as I've been having these conversations with people, I've been listening to what is being said, and I've been listening to what is not being said. And what's not being said, I think, is the lack of discretion, which I think is probably part of her marketing plan. She's using social media as a platform. Baby, this land, right, it's going to be a resort. She going to want you to come to the resort. She has a skincare line in which I'm sure she's growing things that will be used in the skincare line. Okay, she gonna want you to purchase that. So there's that piece. There's the hateration. How dare you come up in here and purchase 150 acres when we still fighting for our land in court, for our land, cannot afford to purchase land? There's that piece. Low key, I also believe there's some colorism, texturism happening. Yeah, I think there's that, because that exists here in Kenya. The more proximate you are to whiteness in this country, the more you find that people are like, oh yeah, I want to partner with you. I want to date you. I want to have access to you. Like, I've had these, like, barbershop conversations where this shit will come up and I'm just like, okay. So the Kikuyus are supposed to be more beautiful because they're lighter skin. All right. I'm not agreeing. I'm just listening. I'm just listening to the conversation. And so, KELiS is multiracial, if we could use that term, or multi-ethnic, even though she self-identifies as a Black American woman. And she also obviously sees a connection to Africa, which is why she's here. She's like, listen, I don't see why I should continue to feed into a system that does not serve me. That's why I'm here. Now, I got some questions, okay? And I legit want answers to those questions. What do y'all want KELiS to do with her money? Like, for real, what do y'all want KELiS to do with her money? Would it make you feel better if she bought a house in Dubai? If she put her money in offshore accounts? If she did some nigga fuck shit and just blinged out and just bought all types of ridiculous trappings of wealth? A Bentley, a Rolls Royce, an ugly palatial mansion. What y'all want her to do with the money? Y'all say y'all want us to come back and invest and do like the Chinese and do like the Indians. She buying up. And now she's started businesses. She got some apps now. She's doing it. She's employing people. If she was Chinese, if she was British, if she was Indian, if she was a major corporation, would you still have this level of vitriol for this woman? I've mentioned the Rose Farms. I've mentioned the sanctuary, baby, all up and down and throughout Kenya. Folks is buying up land. They starting businesses. Foreigners, Nigerians, Chinese, British, whoever wants to, whoever got it. That's all I got for y'all. That's all I got. Just these questions. I laid it out. So I'm going to answer my own question. Is KELiS problematic, or is she just living her best life? I believe Sis is living her best life. Thank you for joining me on this episode of BLAXIT to Africa. If you like what you heard, please share, subscribe, and leave a comment. May you thrive. May you be inspired. May you move with love and intention. Until next time.